Welcome students to the last topic of the chapter Kings, Farmers and Towns. Today we will conclude this chapter with the two topics. First one is how are inscriptions deciphered, and the second is limitations of inscriptions. Right? So, how are inscriptions deciphered? What is the meaning of decipher? The meaning of decipher is to convert, successful in understanding or interpretation. Right? This is the meaning of decipher. How the inscriptions decipher. And we have learned about, already discussed about two scripts, isn't it? Do you remember the scripts, Brahmi and Kharosthi? Right? The most momentous development in the Indian epigraphy took place in 1830s. I hope you remember about James Prinsep. Who was he?
James Prinsep was an officer in the Mint of East India Company.
Correct. He was an officer in the Mint of British East India Company. Right? And what was the speciality of this person?
He deciphered two scripts, namely Brahmi and Kharosthi
Right.
in 1838.
Right. In 1838, he discovered two scripts, which was name was Brahmi and Kharosthi. And Brahmi script, what is the speciality of this Brahmi scripts?
Brahmi scripts, they were used by the Ashokan king, and its language was Prakrit.
That means that she's saying this Brahmi script was used by the king Ashoka to engrave the inscriptions and all the things. He used this Prakrit language, right? So most of the Ashokan inscriptions were in Brahmi script. That means the Prakrit language, right? And whereas the inscriptions and coins used this Kharosthi language, so script is Kharosthi script that was used in the northeastern part of the subcontinent, that is the Afghanistan and Iran. In that area, they use this Kharosthi scripts only. Arabic and the Greek languages they used in those places, right? And most of the inscriptions and coins used these two languages only in the early times. And whereas the decipher of I told you that most of the Ashokan inscriptions were in Brahmi scripts only. Even most of the modern Indian languages also derived from Brahmi scripts. Many Indian pundits helped the European scholars to decipher all these things. And they compared their letters with the small specimen and etc. Right? The decipher of this Kharosthi, that was a little bit interesting. And this Kharosthi script was used in the northeastern part of the subcontinent, that is, I already told you about Afghanistan and all. And there, this area was ruled by the Indo-Greek kings. They ruled this area in the 1st and 2nd century. And these kings, they minted as well as they minted the coins, and they printed, means they engraved their names also in these coins. From that only these scholars deciphered the scripts and all. European scholars, those who could read Greek, both the Greek as well as Kharosthi, both they have written. And the European scholars, those who could read, to understand, compare the letters. Example, letter A that used in both the Greek as well as in the Kharosthi. And James Prinsep, he was a scholar in this both the scripts. He was able to interpret, and it became easily possible to read the longer inscriptions as well. In such a way, they deciphered Brahmi as well as Kharosthi. And what were the limitations of inscriptions? Next. Letters are faintly engraved. That means many letters very feebly or very weakly engraved. And that is why that got damaged over time. कुछ टाइम के बाद कुछ साल के बाद क्या कर दिया, डैमेज हो गया. And many letters got missing also. बहुत सारे letter missing भी हो गया. And not sure about the meaning of the words and sentences. And many people or many scholars also unable to understand the meaning of meaning which is engraved in the inscriptions. They were unable to understand the meaning of the the letters as well as words as well as the sentence. And apart that, one more thing is I wanted to say that the content of the inscriptions that is projected, the perceptions of the person, those who commanded this or commenced, that is the rulers. That you can see that the content of the inscriptions that projected the perceptions of the kings. That also one of the limitation, right? And next is several thousand discovered. Number of inscriptions discovered, but not all deciphered, not all converted. Discovered many inscriptions from various places, but that was not all deciphered and not deciphered and published, not published also, and even unable to translate. Then how can we publish these things? So many inscriptions not deciphered and published as well as translated. Many more inscriptions existed, isn't it? Must have existed. Many more inscriptions must have existed which have not survived the ravage of time. And once again, I wanted to explain these things. Your two questions will come: the decipherment of this Kharosthi as well as Brahmi is 100%. One question, and second question, limitations. I hope you understood what the things. If they will ask about the Kharosthi or Brahmi, you have to say that James Prinsep, he deciphered these two scripts, and most of the Ashokan inscriptions were used by this Brahmi only. Prakrit language they used. And Indian scholars, Indian pundits also helped the European scholars to decipher the things, letters, compare the letters and all. Kharosthi was used in the northeastern part of the subcontinent. There they used the Greek as well as the Arabic language. Indo-Greek kings ruled those areas in the 1st, 2nd and 3rd century BCE. And they minted the coins. They engraved their names on the coins. So from that only, that coins puzzled the problem and solved the problem. Solved the puzzle, you can say. Puzzled the, and that puzzle solved by the coins only. Coins solved the problems. Because in that they have written both the letters. Which some letters are in both the scripts. In such a way they are able to understand. But James Prinsep also was well aware of the scripts. In such a way they deciphered. But limitations were there, right? And with this we are concluding the chapter, but I wanted to say one thing to you, that just the pronunciation of Ashoka, many times I used Ashoka because in South now we are using H also. That is why I used to pronounce Ashoka, right? But real pronunciation is Asoka, King Asoka, right? So you also use this pronunciation Asoka only, not Ashoka. Because I am born and brought up and studied also with Ashoka and Ashoka. That is why I am using this Ashoka. So you use this Ashoka only. And with this we conclude this chapter. Next day we will start the 3rd chapter. Thank you.